Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up Podcast. That's Nick. I'm Theo. It's Thursday, so we're covering Week 14
'Tis the season
of the NFL season. Most leagues, this is the final week of the regular season, so this is your chance to seal up a playoff spot, or if you're already locked in, get a better position for your playoff seeding. Week 14, it's a big one. Ton of bye weeks. 6 teams on bye, so don't appreciate that one there, Roger Goodell, but we're going to cover all 12 of these games we did Thursday on Tuesday, and then we're going to give you our starts of the week and finish out with our power rankings. How you doing today, Nick?
Doing good. Baked a banana bread yesterday, dude. We're really getting into the season, dude. It's cold as shit outside. Got breads going in the season. Oh, it's going to be a good season. Hopefully we end the fantasy season just as good.
Yeah, it is freezing.
Oh, dude, it's so cold
here in our area. Like, tomorrow's high is supposed to be 36, so it's pretty wonderful. I saw something that, like, this whole weekend or week in New York is going to be colder than Alaska.
That's crazy.
Like,
that's crazy, dude.
We're living it up here in the winter months.
It's not even winter yet.
Yeah, technically. Not winter.
Not yet.
We're living it up here in the fall. We're over on Twitter /X at @DraftedUp_pod. But more importantly, we're on Apple, YouTube, Spotify. Search Drafted Up Podcast, like, rate, subscribe, review, share, tell a friend. We appreciate all that you do for the pod here as we're getting close to the end of the year. And we're getting close to 1 year of doing the pod. I think that's in March.
Honestly, couldn't even tell you. Is that true?
It's probably in February because we did the whole draft cycle and the combine.
That is true.
So
drafts in April.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah,
we're pushing a year. Hot dog.
True. That is very, very true. Goes fast.
Yeah. So, as you know, Tuesdays we're doing the Spotlight Series, and we'll be revving up college stuff here post the playoffs. After the playoffs are over, we'll dive more into rankings and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
So let's get this show on the road. Starts of the week.
Boop, boop.
I'll go first. A quarterback. I'm pulling a homer. I'm going Sam Darnold versus Atlanta. Darnold's been good here the last few weeks. Yeah. With 6 teams on bye, and a lot of those teams on bye have quarterbacks you're playing. Darnold's a good stream option this week if he's available. If you're just carrying 2 quarterbacks, I think Darnold's a great start if you're bouncing back and forth. Atlanta hasn't been great here the last few weeks. They're struggling, and you could pass on Minnesota, so Kirk Cousins and crew, if they want to hang in this game, they're going to have to score, and I think that favors Sam Darnold. I expect big games here from Justin Jefferson, who's been just like a teetering wide receiver 2 the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's been weird.
So I expect the Vikings to just come out hammering. It's a big game. Kirk Cousins coming back to Minnesota. They're going to want to show off and be like, hey, we got the guy now. We're paying him way less money, and he's doing as good, if not better, than you were doing here. Expect big things from Sam Darnold and the Vikings this week.
Oh, yeah. Darnold's blowing Kirk out of the water this season, dude. It's not even comparable. So I do expect Darnold to show up big this Sunday for you guys. Kind of rubbed in Kirk's face a little bit. You guys are fucking, what are you, 10-2 without Kirk Cousins?
10-2.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Alrighty. My start of the week at quarterback it's Justin Herbert. He's been down the last 2 weeks, considering what he was doing for a good stretch of time. No touchdowns the last 2 weeks, though, but I expect a big bounce back game here versus Kansas City. It could be a shootout, but I don't expect it to be a shootout like Pittsburgh last week was versus Cincinnati. I don't expect that. But I do expect like 25, 30 points from each team, hopefully. And I do expect a touchdown or 2 in Herbert's way. The run game's really not there with J.K. Dobbins out, so they're going to have to pass heavy to keep in with Kansas City. So I really like Herbert a lot this week. There's a good chance he gets in the end zone. And he did rush a little bit 2 weeks ago. Last week he didn't, but 2 weeks ago he had 30 yards on the ground. The week before that he had 65. So hopefully we get a little bit of the rushing upside for Herbert this week. Would be ideal here for fantasy. But yeah, he's my start of the week here. Kansas City. Sunday night, I believe. So
it is a Sunday night game. tough to run on the Chiefs, and
Oh yeah,
with Gus Edwards, Kamani Vidal, and Hassan Haskins, none of them have been effective for that team, whereas Justin Herbert's getting as many rushing opportunities as
yeah.
like Gus Edwards, who was their leading attempts last week. So piggyback off that, who's your wide receiver?
Well, we're jumping right to receiver, going weird this time because I'm piggybacking. I'm going Ladd McConkey if he plays. He was limited in practice today, but Ladd's a dog, dude. I fully expect him to go out there and play division game Sunday night. Huge matchup. Last week he was 9 for 117. He hasn't scored a touchdown in 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So again, he's overdue for a touchdown. He's not a huge touchdown guy, but he's due for one. Sunday night, Ladd has a chance to show the world that next season he should be going towards wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 territory for Ladd. He's that kind of dude here, especially with Herbert kind of being really good the last 6 weeks. Like real life good, not fantasy-wise the last 2 weeks, but real life Herbert's just been really good. No turnovers. I expect Ladd to get peppered with targets. Gonna be a shootout, hopefully. Ladd, start of the week, pull for 12 targets again. Hopefully he brings in a bunch of them. He's just he's a magnet, dude. Anything near Ladd, he's pulling in, dude.
He's doing an incredible job of filling in the Keenan Allen role for Justin Herbert.
That's a good comparison.
Keenan Allen didn't score a ton of touchdowns with the Chargers, and he was still a borderline wide receiver 1 in fantasy.
Constantly.
And I expect that for Ladd McConkey rest of the season and going into next year. I think he's going to fall in that 11 to 16 range in your drafts. These just early projections off the top of my dome, but if he's out there, you put Ladd in your lineup, and he's been doing wonders for you. He's been a great pickup. I'm going with a guy who's been on a little bit of a hot streak here. I'm going with Jakobi Meyers of the Las Vegas Raiders at Tampa Bay. You can pass heavy on the Bucks, and Aiden O'Connell's favorite player, based off last year and a little bit this year, even he's using Brock Bowers, but Brock Bowers is an elite superstar. Yeah. It has been Jakobi Meyers. Aiden O'Connell peppers this dude, and he's going to get his 7 to 10 targets. Tampa Bay is a great matchup for receivers. Jakobi Meyers here, he's been putting in the work. He's a guy who when he's on the field, he's been a reliable fantasy guy. He's wide receiver 23 right now in full PPR the last 2 weeks, 22, 15, 8 the week before that. The 2 weeks before that, though, 18 and 17. He has been a reliable option in full PPR, and with him being the guy behind Bowers, he's open. Teams are focusing on Brock Bowers, and like I said, you can pass on Tampa. You can work them around the boundaries. Jakobi Meyers, I think he's good for a touchdown this week. I think he's good for 5 to 6 catches, and he can make a big play too.
Yeah, Meyers, I was looking at him for my start of the week. I was like, do I want to get really, really risky with it? But I ended up doubling up with my quarterback, which I haven't done in a while, so I wanted to get that out of the way. Just double down on a position in quarterback. But Meyers should have a huge week this week. You brought up Aiden O'Connell, just loves that guy. If Aiden O'Connell's playing, you start Jakobi Meyers. That's just how it works for fantasy. It's dirty, though, but he's been killing it, dude, lately, so I do like it a lot.
Yeah, when you get to this point in season, you got to kind of forget players' names. Just do player A, player B, who's been better for you. And I'll slide that right in. Running back, I'm going with Rico Dowdle for the Cowboys versus Cincinnati. A game that should be a shootout. We'll see if Dallas's offense can hold up against the Bengals, who have a high-powered offense but a really bad defense. So we'll see if all things go to plan there for Dallas. But Rico Dowdle this year has had 4 games where he's had 18 or more opportunities between rushing attempts and targets. 3 of those 4 games, he was a top 10 running back in full PPR. 2 of those games have been the last 2 weeks. Rico Dowdle's the guy now in Dallas. There's no more committee. There's no Zeke or Dalvin Cook lingering over trying to vulture away his opportunities. This is Rico Dowdle's offense, and when he's got the opportunity, he has been a fantasy-relevant star. I expect that to continue. Bengals, middle of the pack against the run, but Dallas, if they want to get their offense going, they got to rely on Rico Dowdle and CeeDee Lamb. I expect Rico to be involved heavy in the passing game, especially if CeeDee Lamb doesn't happen to play. But Dowdle's opportunities are there, and with those opportunities, he's been a top 20 back, like I said, all four times.
Yeah, he's been also on just a really good stretch. I'm glad they're giving him the ball. You've liked Rico pretty much all season, so go ride him into the playoffs, dude. I do like it a lot. Speaking of people you have liked all season since the draft days of the podcast. Speaking of getting opportunities, this man he was the 4th-string running back to start the season, and it's Isaac Guerendo. I'm doing this for the people who got him for probably a whole bunch of fab, or if you had the top waiver spot in your league, start this guy. It's the Shanahan system. I get he's a 4th-string running back to start the season. He's a rookie. I get it all. He got 63% of the snaps versus Dallas in week 8. He went 14 for 85, a tutty, 3 receptions. That's over 6 a clip. That's a great game. Last week he had a touchdown when it looked like, oh, it's a blowout. They're not going to put Jordan Mason in because McCaffrey's already banged up. No, Jordan Mason's out. McCaffrey's out. Guerendo's in. He scored a touchdown last week. He scored a touchdown versus Dallas when he got the snaps. Guerendo is going to have a good game. Is he going to be an RB1? Maybe not. But at minimum, I honestly think it's an RB2. I think that's his floor, is an RB2. You can't really pass versus the Bears. They're going to have a couple passes here and there with Jennings, Kittle. I get it. But Guerendo is going to be able to run all day long on the Bears. He's averaging a little over 5 a clip. I read on Sleeper here. He's averaging 5.9 a carry this year. Shanahan's system's great. So he's just a guy that can just break a tackle once and take a 70-yard run. He's so quick. He's so fast. He ran great at the combine. So
100th percentile speed for his size.
Oh yeah, he's
a freak athlete.
He's 6 foot 221, and he ran like a 4.3, dude. He's so quick. Yep. He's so big. He's so strong. Start Guerendo if you got him in waivers, if you're lucky enough. I got him in a good amount of leagues. Lucky enough, not our home league, so I lost out. Someone bid $91 on him. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Start him though. You picked him up to start him, ride him into the playoffs.
Yeah, Guerendo's one of those guys where he can give you such a huge ceiling, and you don't want that ceiling on your bench. Because you want to play the floor game, and okay, you want to go Gus Edwards or
good God,
or Chuba Hubbard. I love Chuba Hubbard, but real bad matchup this week.
Guerendo,
and you're like, okay, well Chuba's good for 7 to 10 points. I'd rather miss on Guerendo and hit 5 points with him. Than miss out on him getting 40 because he can break off an 80-yard run like that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I have Guerendo.
He doesn't got the best vision.
You don't need it in the Shanahan system.
He hits that hole.
Yeah, exactly.
He's boom, one cut and gone. And Izzy Abanikanda is the only other running back really on the roster.
They just picked him up.
He just signed.
Yeah.
Patrick Taylor's the other back, but he's a special teams guy, so he's not going to be too involved. This could just be a full bell cow role for Isaac Guerendo. And I love that. That's a great pick.
You brought up that Izzy, he's not going to know the system. And I get it's Shanahan's system, so it's any running back can run it. And Izzy and Guerendo are very one cut, take it to the house kind of backs. But Guerendo knows the system. He's been there all offseason, all season. He's been there. I fully expect him to have a full workload here. All the carries. Yeah. Izzy will be in a couple times. They'll give it to the fullback. I'm blanking on his name. They'll give it a couple times.
Kyle Juszczyk.
But he had a huge fumble last week on the goal line. So I get the trust is still there because he's an all pro kind of player. But how many carries are you going to give him on not on the goal line? Not a ton.
And Debo ain't it this year.
Oh, dude, Debo is
in terms of being in the backfield. I don't know what's going on there. But I love the shout out for Guerendo. Rounding it out, tight end.
Ugh.
I'm going with Pat Freiermuth against Cleveland. It's kind of gross, but 6 teams on bye. Freiermuth's been involved here the last 2 weeks. He's quietly tight end 13 on the season. Yeah, he scored last week, had 18, almost 19 points in full PPR. Him and Russ are starting to click a little more. And this offense needs a reliable second option outside of George Pickens. Calvin Austin's there, but he's more big play, boom bust. Van Jefferson's there. He's more of a cardio, just route guy. Whereas Pat Freiermuth is a safety valve for Russell Wilson. Cleveland, not great against tight ends. I expect Pat Freiermuth to continue an upward trend, and I think he's a guy you can plug in your lineup this week and be happy. I think he's a good floor play, but I also think he's got touchdown upside, and that's what you want for tight ends.
Exactly. Touchdown upside, being games that are possible shootouts, being a game that maybe Jake Ferguson is playing in, my tight end start of the week. Shoemaker looked pretty good in the starts that he filled in for Ferguson. He went 11.5, 14.5, almost 9. I'll happily take that, but the touchdown upside in a shootout versus Cincinnati, Cincinnati's defense is so bad, dude. Like, Pittsburgh dropped 40-some points on them. Dallas isn't going to do that, but Dallas can easily score 30. Getting Ferguson in the end zone is a really good possibility, especially with CD having a shoulder injury. He could exit at any time, leaving Jake Ferguson and Brandon Cooks as the really only passing options for Dallas. So it's dirty, though. Like, I get Pat Freiermuth also dirty, Jake Ferguson dirty. Like, these guys, I wouldn't want to start them, but there's 6 bye weeks this week. That's leaving 6 tight ends on the market, and then like Taysom Hill's out for the year. So we're talking like tight ends are already at the nitty gritty this week. So it's bad. Jake Ferguson played in only like 8% of snaps last week, but it was his first game back. So I fully expect his snap count to skyrocket. So Jake Ferguson is for sure my start of the week here.
Yeah, I like that. Dallas, as long as they keep this game competitive, their offensive weapons, with or without CeeDee Lamb, will be relevant here for fantasy football.
I meant Ferguson only played in 8% of snaps his last game he played. It wasn't his last game he played. That's how I meant to play that.
Yeah, but went out with the concussion, so he's been out for a while. So
it's been 2 weeks, so he's fully healthy. Yeah, getting that head cleared up.
Yep. All right, let's dive on into the Sunday slate. 1:00 game. Carolina Panthers travel to Philadelphia to take on the NFC East leading Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 13-point home favorites. That went up. It was 12 when we did the podcast on Tuesday.
Crazy.
Over under of 46. We briefly touched on it Tuesday. Carolina players, you really don't want to be putting any in your lineup. And with 6 bye weeks, it's going to be tough to move away from Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah.
And he's really the only one that you're going to play if you have to play someone. I mean, yeah, you could mess around with Adam Thielen, but not against the Eagles pass game. Like I think there's better stream options at wide receiver. There's a little more depth there than running back. Whereas like Chuba, you might just have to bite the bullet, put him in your lineup, and just hope he gets 7 to 10 points in full PPR.
In full PPR, I'm way more confident to start him. Not that he got any pass work the last 2 weeks. He literally has 1 catch in 2 weeks. But the upside of them not being able to run, so they're just going to check it down to Chuba to try to get him more involved. That's really the only way I see Chuba having a really successful fantasy game. I really don't see him having a successful real life game. And I would like to apologize in advance if he does prove me wrong, but he's playing Philly, dude. Philly's defense is out of their minds right now. From their defensive line to their secondary, their linebackers are killing it as well. So all 3 levels of their defense is just playing so well as a team. I'm trying not to play any Panthers here, but I get that you have to play Chuba at this point. 6 bye weeks is rough.
I mean, we said that 2 weeks ago when they were playing Kansas City and Chuba put up 15 in full PPR.
Yeah.
But then last week with a full slate, he put up 2.3, so which was his second worst game of the season. I think that was just an outlier for him. So, but if he can get that, 15 ceiling, you'll be happy with that, especially with how tough that matchup is
be thrilled
for him.
With 15.
Yeah. But that's it for Chuba or for
Carolina.
Carolina. Yep. You're not putting in Thielen, Leggett, Coker, David Moore, any of the tight ends, and Bryce Young. And then Philly's easy. It's Jalen Hurts. It's A.J. Brown. And if Devonta Smith is out there, you're playing him, especially with Goddard being week to week.
Smith should be playing.
And Barkley.
Smith ran a full practice today, so I fully expect Smith to be out there.
Good.
I'm struggling
and then
with this.
Saquon Barkley. Oh, you're me.
And you today.
And then Saquon Barkley, obviously, putting him in your lineup, RB1 on the season.
The GOAT.
Absolute superstar there for Philly. And That's easy, and
Philly's,
I think this
Philly's
is a
always
layup.
easy.
Yeah, I think this is a layup as well. I'm picking the Eagles to win this game.
Yeah, I'm picking Eagle. You picking them to cover though? Carolina's been playing decent.
Yeah.
13's a
No,
lot of points.
Yeah, that's almost 2 touchdowns. I think at most they cover by a point, being 14.
I think they
but
cover.
It'll be. I think they do win by double digits, so it'll be 10. I don't think it'll be over like 15 though. I don't think the Eagles are going to win by 20.
It wouldn't surprise me though if they did. That's
Well, no,
where I'm trying to like. I don't expect it to be close, but I get Carolina's been playing good the last couple weeks. But like Kansas City never really blows teams out. They always play close games. Philly has the ability to just Barkley up this game. AJ Brown a couple tutties, Barkley a couple tutties, and just call it a day.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the Eagles win.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Easily.
Yeah, 100%.
That's start off with an easy one. Cleveland, Jameis Winston and the Browns travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Pittsburgh is 6.5-point home favorites, over under 43.5. These two played a few weeks ago in the Snow Globe game on Thursday night,
2 weeks ago.
Jameis Winston brought him back, and he beat Pittsburgh. So
he ate that dub.
Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh's been playing really good football.
Oh, so good,
offensively
dude.
Here. Defensively, not so much last week. Gave up a ton of points to the Bengals, but Bengals offense is elite.
It happens.
So we'll see if this carries over here for Pittsburgh. I think Russ is a stream option this week. I
think
don't
both
hate
quarterbacks
him.
are. I'd be fine with starting both these quarterbacks.
I'm going to sound like you. I'd rather go with Russ because I like the floor. Winston could go out there and do Jameis Winston things and have bad game. He's done it.
Going to sound
but he
more
could
like,
also do what he's been doing.
Yeah, I'm going to sound more like you, actually. I would start Winston over Russ. Only on not every team I would start Winston over Russ, but if you're playing just as like a little bit of an underdog and you need that high ceiling, you just roll the dice on Winston, dude. He threw 3 interceptions last week, and he still finished as quarterback 1. So like, it doesn't even matter that he threw 2 pick sixes and another turnover. That just gets him on the field again. He's going to go out there and throw for pretty close to 300. He's averaging over 330 a game and like 40 pass attempts or something crazy like that. So I'm in on Winston a lot.
I'm actually in this boat in our home league. I have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Now, I'm not the underdog.
No.
My team is a little bit better. So, but Jameis has been red light, green light.
100%.
And so he's an every other week guy. And if you're into those patterns, this week should be a bad week for Jameis Winston.
I find it really hard to like follow though. 1 week he's good, 1 week he's bad, 1 week he's good. That's a weird thing for me to actually follow it because that's just like different circumstances per week. This week it's not going to be snowing, so I don't expect them to be in that kind of weird game, but I do expect it to be pretty close, pretty grindy, division battle. Oh man, to say which one of them is going to get more points is a really hard question, but I would take Winston.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Russ this week a little bit more than Jameis.
I get it.
The Steelers' run game, Najee's been great. Jalen Warren's getting involved in the pass game, where you might be able to stream him. Like I would consider playing Jalen Warren over Chuba Hubbard if I had them both on my team. Full PPR only though.
Yeah,
I'm not going half with Jalen Warren.
Yeah, full point PPR. Warren's been double digits the last 4 weeks. So, yeah, I would be cool. He's really close to Chuba. Chuba's got a bad matchup.
Yeah, that's why. It's not a talent thing, because I'll take Chuba Hubbard
100%.
10 out of 10 times over Jalen Warren if I need a running back for my actual football team.
What about Nick Chubb, though?
No, him and Jerome Ford have been like splitting time. Jerome Ford actually played over 60% of the snaps last week, which is the most he's played in a while. So it looks like he's getting more involved. The Browns' backfield is very Denver-like to me, where I really don't want to take a shot on any of them. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
with the way Winston's been playing, they can't run the ball because they're down, so they're always throwing a ton. And like that trend could stop here if this is a close game. But I think there's more faith in Kevin Stefanski and Jameis Winston than there is in his running game. So I'm not putting, even on a 6-team bye week, putting Winston or putting Chubb or Ford in my lineup.
I would go Chubb more than Ford. Chubb's gone double digits the last 2 weeks. Had 2 tutties versus Pittsburgh. But again, that was a snow game. I expected to be more pass heavy this game. But I think the chance of Chubb getting in the end zone is good because it's a Pittsburgh game. It's going to be division, grind hard, battle. I'm cool with starting Chubb this week.
Yeah, and I mean, you might have to start Chubb because, like we said, there's 6 teams on a bye. Those 6 teams, I should have mentioned this before we started.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Baltimore, Washington, Denver, Houston, New England, Indy. 5 of those 6 teams have really locked in running back options. Even like New England, less so right now, but Ramondre, it's tough to pull him from your lineup.
Mm-hmm.
But Baltimore with Derrick Henry, Washington with Brian Robinson, Houston with Joe Mixon, Indy with John Taylor, and then Ramondre for New England. And then Denver is just Denver. You don't really have to worry about replacing one of those guys in your lineup. You might have to play Nick Chubb this week.
There's just like heavy hitters on buys regardless, from Lamar, Henry, Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Joe Mixon, Nico Collins, CJ Stroud,
Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz has been so solid this year. Yeah, there's so many heavy hitters that people relied on all through the season. And now they're just not here the last week, and you're just like, oh God. So
yeah.
I'm in a very thankful position in a lot of leagues. But some I am fighting for the playoffs, man. And the one I'm in a dynasty where I don't have Omar this week in a 2 QB league, and I'm probably not going to make the playoffs because of it. So it sucks.
Yeah, it is a struggle with like quarterbacks, especially, and like I know like some of those stream options, like a guy who like you may have been banking on as your QB2, like a Brock Purdy. Now Sanford has all these injuries, and and Brock Purdy himself's banged up, so like you have so many questions there. Whereas like you might have to go with one of those real gross quarterbacks like Aiden O'Connell or Derek Carr or Will Levis. That's where we are this week.
I really like Will Levis this week.
So back to Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Jerry Jeudy. Yes, please.
Huge performance last week. Yep.
It looks like Cedric Tillman's going to miss again. He didn't practice today, and he's still in concussion protocol, so I wouldn't expect him out there on Sunday.
I agree.
I think Elijah Moore in a full PPR, I think he's a good stream option as well. David Njoku. You're going to want the pieces of all the offenses here, sans the run game for Cleveland. And then Pittsburgh, I like Freiermuth. Like I said, start of the week, I would play him, especially like if you're like the Mark Andrews owner or the Zach Ertz owner or Hunter Henry. Say you've just been bouncing between like those guys. I think Freiermuth's a good plug-in for that. And then George Pickens, great matchup as well for him.
Pickens would have probably been my start of the week if Vlad ended up not playing or practicing at all. I love George Pickens so much, and he's just been having such a good year. The last 4 weeks have been solid. The game versus Cleveland, again, it was a snow game, but he still did 4 for 48. So that's a pretty solid game in a blizzard. I expect Pickens to have a monster game again.
Yeah. And then does Cleveland pull it off again? Pull the upset and win this game, or are you going with Pittsburgh?
I'm going Pittsburgh this time. I don't think they got a Pittsburgh twice in a season, dude.
I also picked Pittsburgh. I don't know if they cover, though. The 6.5.
What is it, 6.5?
6.5. They have to win by a touchdown. It's close. I think that's a good line.
I agree. I think that's a perfect line, for sure.
Yeah. All right, next up, the Las Vegas Raiders travel to Tampa Bay to take on the Bucs. The Bucs are 6.5-point home favorites over under a 46. Tampa's coming off a near defeat to Carolina. Overtime, they got lucky there. Chuba Hubbard fumbled, and Baker wasn't playing his best game. Mike Evans looked really good.
Yeah.
And Bucky Irving looked incredible. So
good.
I think Tampa's another easy one. Baker, I think he's a good stream option at quarterback if you have Lamar or Jaden Daniels and Baker's out there. I think he's a good plug and play guy. Bucky Irving, he's questionable, but it's the same injury he's been dealing with, the hip and the knee.
He'll play.
You're going to play him. I would still play Rachaad White. I'm not moving away from him just yet. And then Mike Evans, putting him locked and loaded in my lineup for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, you kind of have to but you have to look at Rachaad White this week because of the bye weeks again. But hopefully not. But Bucky Irving's been banged up, so I expect White to get a little bit more work than he did last week. Bucky got a ton of work last week, and he's probably feeling it, dude. He's a little undersized. So, did you bring up Cade Otton?
No, I was saving him for the locked guys because I don't know if Cade Otton's a lock.
He's not. He's
anymore.
not. But I thought that we were just going through Tampa. But yeah, the locks for Tampa. I'm cool with Baker being a lock this week. I think he's got a great matchup. He's probably my number one stream QB. If he's some reason on your market, go get him. He's got Dallas and Carolina in the fantasy playoffs. He's a quarterback that should be on every roster.
We're in a big league together, and we have Joe Burrow, and Baker was out there, and I picked up Baker for us to start for Burrow on the bye weekend. Normally, I wouldn't stash 2 QBs with Joe Burrow, but I'm keeping him. We're fighting for a playoff spot. We currently have the last spot, so I don't want another team to stash up Baker.
Exactly.
So I'll just use the roster spot on him. He's got a great matchup for the rest of the season, pretty much.
Yeah, he's great to have on the team.
I'm just keeping him away from everybody else.
Yeah, 100%. And if you have that ability to do that, people like steal people from other people's lineups. Like the guy that got Garendo in our home league is not making the playoffs, but he spent $91 to make sure no one else has him, and that's hilarious to me. I love shit like that.
Yeah. And then we had another guy spend $150 on Darius Slayton.
As a joke, but yeah, he did spend $150 on Darius Slayton.
It was a joke. That was not a serious pickup. At least he used his money, unlike Matt Eberflus used his timeout.
Exactly.
Baker, though, Baker has been a little touch and go here lately. He hasn't been.
No, he hasn't. But
hitting
it's
those
a great
big
matchup,
plays.
though.
But yeah, I'm not going to shy away from him quite yet. But Cade Otton, you brought him up.
He had 7 targets last week.
It's tough.
He hasn't been great since
his last
week 9.
His last 4 weeks have been. Well, one was a bye, so obviously he didn't get any points.
The last 4 are in the bye, but it's week 10. San Fran
4 and 6.
Yep, it's 8.5 bye week 4, 6. That's all full point PPR too, so it's not good. But it's another good matchup. He's playing like 80-90% of snaps, sometimes high 90% of snaps. He's a guy. It's 6 bye weeks. Mark Andrews on a bye. Isaiah Likely's on a bye. Zach Ertz is on a bye. So like.
Hunter Henry,
yeah. Like you can start Cade Otton this week. Don't turn away yet. You can still play him this week.
Can we find the line? Tucker Kraft tonight or Cade Otton?
Man, I really like Green Bay a lot this week, but I hate going tight ends on Thursday.
And Romeo Doubs is out.
Yeah, so I'd probably go.
I would lean Tucker Kraft.
I'd go Tucker Kraft. Yeah.
What about Pat Freiermuth? My start of the week.
Cade Otton. I would also go.
Okay, I would go. I would go Freiermuth.
Ferguson as well.
I would go Otton over Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
What about Njoku? I think we can lock Njoku.
No, Njoku's way over him.
Over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Njoku
I'm just going down the list of Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. Don't start Kyle Pitts. I would start every tight end you named over Kyle Pitts.
Sam Laporta.
I'd go Otton over Laporta.
Laporta's another guy who's every other week.
He's also
Laporta's another one of those
dependent.
every other week. And last week he boomed 15.6 points in full PPR.
3 catches for 6 yards.
Yeah. If Ladd McConkey doesn't play, I would start Will Dissly over Cade Otton. Just because I think Will Dissly would take over those underneath stuff that Ladd's been taking.
It's dirty starting a guy that goose.
And that one's tough because they're Sunday night.
Yeah, for sure.
Cole Kmet. Cade Otton is the safer play, but you can move on from him. Well, what about TJ Hawkinson? I know that's a situation you're in.
No, I'd go Hawkinson over Cade Otton. He's a safer full-point PPR guy.
Okay. And then Vegas. Vegas is easy.
Vegas is gross.
It's Jacoby Myers. It's Brock Bowers.
Yep.
And for me, it's Aiden O'Connell in a dynasty league that I have 4 quarterbacks, and somehow all 4 of them are not playing this week. They're on bye.
All 4
so
are
I
on
had
bye.
to pick up Aiden O'Connell. So
hey, man, sometimes you gotta
maybe
ride
I'm
dirty.
trying to. Yeah, maybe maybe I'm trying to will that into existence with Jacoby Myers as my start of the week here, but Brock Bowers has been incredible. You're not moving away from him. We brought it up on Tuesday. This guy might be a late first, early second round pick next year for fantasy. He should easily be tight end 1 off the board next year. And Jacoby Myers here the last few weeks has been really good for fantasy. So,
yeah.
and then the run game, I don't care.
I was going to say, Brock Bowers
I don't
has
care if
6
Madison's
games.
back.
6 games this year, Brock Bowers has over double-digit targets. They are just getting this guy the ball any way they can. They are forcing the ball in his hands. He's had 10 catches.
He's a superstar.
Oh, he's a superstar. He's had over 10 catches 3 of those 6 times. You think he gets the double-digit targets this game again?
Double-digit targets, yes. I don't think he gets double-digit catches.
No, I agree. I'm expecting like a 80 for 80, 90 yards. Hope and a touchdown.
8 for 80, you mean?
Well, no, I was going 8 for 80, but I think he's gonna have more than 80 yards. So like 8 for 90.
Okay.
8 for 90 and a touchdown.
Right.
I'll give him a tutty. Huge game for Brock Bowers.
I see something like 12 to 13 targets, 7 to 9 catches, 100 yards.
Last week he was 10 for 140.
Yeah.
I keep looking at that stat line, and it's crazy. 2
He's
weeks before
incredible.
that, he was 13 for 130 and a tutty.
He's incredible.
So
and if you took the shot on Bowers, or you sat and waited and everybody else took tight ends and you were just like, I guess I'm just going to take the rookie, chances are you're competing for a championship.
Yeah, there's a league that I really don't care too much about it. You asked me to join it last minute because they needed the 12th. And my team's fighting for a playoff spot, and I really haven't checked it too much. I obviously check it weekly, and I don't make moves, though. But Brock Bowers has just carried my team. Him and Devon Achane have just... Without them, I'd be nowhere close to a playoff spot.
Yeah. My money league, I kept getting sniped, missed out on tight ends, and Pat Fryermuth actually went before Brock Bowers to a team that needed a tight end. It was me and him, and I'm just like, I'm going to get sniped on Bowers, and I'm going to have to settle for, Pat Fryermuth or just stream a tight end. And he took Fryermuth, and I got Bowers, and I'm here tied for first in my division, and it's because of Brock Bowers. My team's good. I have Jalen Hurts, Kyron Williams, AJ Brown, but like Brock Bowers has put me over the top.
Having that advantage at tight end is just huge. Like most tight ends are getting like 8 to 12 points, but Brock Bowers is out here getting sometimes 25, 30 points in full point PPR. And that's such a huge advantage for this time of season, dude. So Brock Bowers is a superstar in fantasy football and real life.
Yeah. And then no thank you to the Vegas run game. I don't care if Alexander Madison's back.
Nope.
I don't want Sincere McCormick but good for him. He was signed to the active roster. So well deserved after his performance last week.
Great performance.
Amir Abdullah, Zamir White, unless you're in a real nasty spot in like a deep dynasty league, just don't even look at the Raiders running backs.
Yeah. There's better options out there. There has to be.
Yeah. And then who comes out on top here?
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tampa goes over here. All right, Atlanta. The Falcons travel to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. The Vikings are 5.5-point home favorites, over under of 45.5.
What'd you say the spread was?
5.5.
5.5. All right.
This game could be a trap game for Minnesota. I don't know how the Kirk Cousins situation is going to go there. I don't know if the people are going to boo him, if they're going to cheer him. I know a lot of Minnesota Vikings fans don't like Kirk Cousins, and they felt he was being overpaid. I was not one of them. I loved Kirk Cousins, but seeing Sam Darnold in here getting way less money than we were paying Kirk Cousins, and this team being way more efficient, I was like, man, Kirk Cousins might be the piece holding us back because Atlanta gave him all this money.
Yeah.
They're 6-6. That's what they were last year with Arthur Smith and Desmond Ridder at this point. So I don't know if it's injury, if Kirk's washed. I don't know what's going on, but he wants to come in here and attempt to blow up Minnesota and be like, hey, you guys might be having this successful season, but I just whooped your ass. And you can pass on the Vikings. So
yeah.
It's tough. I have that weird feeling that this could be a trap game, but it also could just me being a worrisome Vikings fan because we're never good.
Okay, looking at it
and we're
from,
always playing close games.
I'm looking at it, obviously, I have no affiliation with either of these teams. I think it's going to be close, but I don't think it's going to be like a last-second drive close. I just think it'll be a close game here and there. But I expect you guys to win by 3 to 6 points. You guys got the dub.
Well, yeah, we never win by more than one possession.
Exactly. You guys are at Kansas City. You guys are going to play this game close regardless.
It's disgusting.
But
I hate it.
But I'm looking at Atlanta's receivers being Drake London, Darnell Mooney, who I think's going to have a better game than he's been playing. And even Ray McCloud has
He's
just
been
been
banged up.
really solid the last 4 weeks. So
he's a really good floor guy. If you're
full point PPR, he should be
out
on rosters at this point just because he's a guy that can go in there on an injury. If you need a last minute guy, he's good for 8 to 12 points pretty much every week. In my head, all three of those guys are going to have decent games, so I think Kirk has to have a decent game in order for these guys to be good. So I think Kirk's, I don't want to say streamable, but my God, I wouldn't play him, but if you need to, I guess you can. I'd start Will Levis over him, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess around with Kirk Cousins. I would have him.
But I'm looking at all like his options, and I like his options. Like I like London this week. I like Mooney. I like McLeod if need be. I like Bijan.
I don't think all three of the passing options hit though. I think one of them's going to falter. I don't think it's going to be Drake London. Because that guy's been incredible this
Drake
year,
London's
and I think he'll
going to be a lock regardless.
Yeah, you can count out Kyle Pitts. Done with him. Cut him. Bijan could be in line for a tougher game. Minnesota really good at stopping the run, but Bijan can get involved in the passing game, and Minnesota can struggle with running backs in the receiving game. So
Bijan's been huge in the passing game. Yeah, Bijan will be perfectly fine. I'm not really worried about Bijan.
Yeah. I think Mooney's got a good ceiling, but his floor could be 3 points, and it could bite you in the end. And Ray McLeod, I don't think has a ceiling. I think he's just a lock for 10 points in full PPR.
Yeah, I look at Mooney and McLeod. If you need like a high ceiling 2 touchdown possibility, Mooney would be your guy. But if you just need an easy points because you're playing a lower less team in the league and it doesn't matter, but you just need a win to get in, start McLeod if you need safe points. In full point PPR, he's been 15.5, 10, 8.5, 14.5, 8. So like he's so consistent.
Yeah, and Minnesota side, I like Sam Darnold a lot this week. He's my start of the week. I think he's going to be the reason the Vikings win this game. Justin Jefferson, you're going to put him in, even though the last 4 weeks, you've been a little
don't even worry about
on edge. 9.8, 14.1, 4.7, 16.9 in full PPR, but receivers are incredibly inconsistent. That's across the board. Even the elite of the elite have stretches where they're not putting up wide receiver 1 numbers. Jefferson's in a 4 for here. I expect that to change here. I expect Justin Jefferson to jump right back into the wide receiver 1 range. It's really then Jordan Addison.
It's the touchdowns aren't there for Jefferson, and that's kind of what we were worried about with Darnold at quarterback.
And I mean, that's always
scored
been
a
Jefferson,
touchdown,
though.
But he's been putting up more than 5 touchdowns a year. He hasn't scored since Detroit week 7. So he's due for a touchdown, but like his receiving yards, I'm still cool with. Like 7 for 99 last week. 2 weeks ago was 6 for 81. 3 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago before that was 7 for 137. He just has 2 games in between where he's 5 for 48 and 2 for 27. But if you throw a touchdown on any of those games, you're extremely happy with their performance. Jefferson's a lock, dude. Like he's still in my eyes.
Yeah. I'm not saying
he's not, but like
Jefferson.
I'm not even worried about him. Like I wouldn't even bat an eye at it. It is what it is.
Yeah, and he's still wide receiver 3 on the season. It's just the last 4 weeks have been not up to Justin Jefferson standards.
Yeah, but you can't do that every week
in terms of fantasy. No, yeah. But really, Jordan Addison. You putting Addison in? He's another guy. He only had 9.4, but 2 weeks, the 2 before that, 30 and 15. 4 the week before that, 16 the week before that. It's been a ride with Jordan Addison. I'm willing to play him this week.
Yeah, I'm cool with riding Addison. Like I'd start him over Mooney and McLeod on the other side. But The possibility of him not performing is there, but again, it's the last week. If you need the high upside kind of guy, Addison is that. He's a better version of Darnell Mooney, so I'm cool with it.
Yep. And it seems to be when Addison's more involved, it does affect Justin Jefferson's stat line, and that's just how things work. And Justin Jefferson's not going to complain about it, so there's no dissension there. So there's going to be a game here coming up where Jordan Addison is not involved, and it's a big Justin Jefferson game. And then T.J. Hawkinson lock in. How you feeling about Aaron Jones?
He had a drastic fumble last week, but he did end up getting that receiving touchdown.
He's fumbled 3 straight games.
Yeah. Oh, man. Again, it's the 6 bye weeks, the last week of the season. Aaron Jones has been in your lineup most of the season. I wouldn't bat an eye at him in my lineup. Him or Chuba Hubbard.
He had that touchdown and he only had 9.8 points.
I get it.
In full PPR. I would go Aaron Jones over Chuba. Atlanta's defense doesn't scare me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean,
and I think they got the same floor, so.
I get he had a really bad performance last week, but he only ran the ball 5 times for 22. That's still 4.5 a carry.
That's because he got benched for a whole quarter.
Yeah, but he was still producing with the yard wise. Like 4.5 a carry is still pretty good. I'm cool with that. The week before that, he was 4.8 a carry for 22 for 106. So I don't expect a great run game here, but I expect something like 20 for 60. And then hopefully a couple catches on there. You're looking at like 10 points, 12 points, hopefully, for Aaron Jones.
Then who walks out on top here?
Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Vikings as well. Not confidently, though. I was more confident in us beating Arizona than I am us beating Atlanta.
Yeah, no, I agree to that statement. I didn't think you guys would be down that much versus Arizona, to be honest, but any given Sunday, Arizona's a decent little team here. But I think you guys got Atlanta too. I think you guys are looking at 11-2, dude.
Yeah. All right. The New York Jets travel to Miami to take on the Dolphins. The Dolphins are 5.5 point home favorites, over under of 45. Breece Hall's questionable.
Yep.
If he's in there,
you gotta play him.
Play him.
You have to play him if he plays.
He has been not great the last few weeks, and especially last week. Last week he was terrible, but I want to credit that to the injury. But who knows with him? But if he's in, you play him. If he's out, you willing to put Braylon Allen in your lineup?
That is rough. I am. It's a really good matchup.
Yeah,
I'd be cool with Allen.
It is a good matchup.
Yeah, I'm cool with Allen if Hall doesn't go.
Yep.
But I'm even cool with Hall. Like if Hall goes, I still think Hall has the ability to have a great game.
Yeah. Last week, like I said, I credit last week's performance due more to injury. He only had 6 points, but before the bye, he had 31, 12.3 before that. Like I think those are. You're going to get an in-between range there for Breece Hall if he's out there. And if Braylon Allen ends up being the guy, if Breece is out, I think Braylon Allen's a good play. And I think he's a guy you should be stashing if you're the Breece Hall owner right now, so you have a running back to put in. Because, again, 6 bye weeks this week. Teams are scrambling for running backs. You don't want to be out there having to start, Kareem Hunt in hopes that he gets a touchdown for Kansas City.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with Breece if he plays. Like, he wasn't used in the receiving game at all last week, which hasn't happened at all season. He had 1 target for 0 catches. His least amount of targets before last week was 3, and that only happened once. Every other game has been 4, 5, 6, 7 targets. So I fully expect that to go back into like the way they have been using Breece Hall. So even if he does again go 12 for 60, I fully expect 3-4 catches in the game for Breece Hall. So that would bump him up over 10 in full point PPR. Is that great for Breece Hall? He was a first round pick. No, that's horrendous. But the high upside for Breece Hall, like 2 weeks ago, he had 31 points in full point PPR. So like Breece Hall's still really good. He's just banged up. The Jets are trash. So you just have to hope they pepper catches to Breece Hall.
Yeah. And then How do you feel about Garrett Wilson?
Oh God, he should have had a tutty last week, and I'm still angry that Rodgers missed
So
him.
he's been getting a ton of targets, but
That's the Garrett
9.1,
Wilson.
5.8, 9.1 the last 3 weeks here for full PPR.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't great numbers, but like I said with Jefferson, receivers go through these stretches where like they're super inconsistent. I'm still going to play Garrett Wilson,
Yeah.
but he's one where you just grin and bear it and hope that he either gets a ton of catches or he finds the end zone. Like,
yeah,
I would rather play Devontae Adams this week over Garrett Wilson.
I agree. But here's a stretch for Garrett Wilson. It's 5 games. He had 30, 25, 13, 17, 30. That's 5 games in a row. He was just unbelievable. 3 games in a row. Now he has stepped back. He stuttered, and he hasn't looked the same. There's a good chance he has a nice bounce back week here. It is Miami. It's a little harder to pass on him, but I'm cool with Garrett Wilson. But like you said, I would start Adams over him.
Yeah, him being involved makes me worry less about him. Like if he wasn't getting targets, then I'd be red alert.
I'd be terrified.
But because he's getting 7 to 10 targets a week, I'm okay with the lack of production because at least they're still involving him some way in this offense.
Mm-hmm.
And with Adams is getting more acclimated. He's been really good the last 2 weeks, 13-2, 17-6. So I would rather play him if I had to pick between one of the others, but I'm going to put both in my lineup, and that's it for the Jets. It's those 3 guys.
Yep, totally agree. Hall if he plays, Wilson, Adams,
whichever running back starts,
and then Allen if Hall doesn't.
Hall or Allen. Yep. And Miami, I think is also easy. Tyreek Hill, again, he's going up against Sauce Gardner, and the Jets have been really good against receivers, but the last few weeks, if you adjust, they haven't been as good. This defense feels like they've checked in, and they're just kind of done. I expect Tyreek Hill to be comfortable, put him in. I know it's tough. Like if you ran through Tyreek Hill while you didn't have Tua and you were still putting him in, Tua's there, you keep playing him. And Jalen Waddle, I'm fine with as well.
I agree.
And then Jonnu Smith and Devon Achane, I think, are locks.
Yeah, I think Achane, Tyreek, Jonnu Smith are all for sure locked in your lineups. Jalen Waddle is a guy that you don't have to start if you don't need to, but again, I'm comfortable playing him if need be. It is what it is.
Waddle or Jameson Williams, who plays tonight?
I would go Waddle.
Okay. I agree, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. What about Waddle or Calvin Ridley?
Calvin Ridley. I like his matchup a lot.
Okay. Same boat. Waddle or Jordan Addison?
Probably Addison.
Okay, I'd go Waddle.
Okay.
And then who comes out on top here?
I think Miami's got this. Did we talk about Tua at all? You think he's streamable?
No.
He's been really good
you could play Tua. He's been really good the last 2 or 3 weeks, but a little bit tougher matchup. But I'm cool with him. Like, I would start Baker and Darnold over him. I would start Murray over him.
Yeah, we also have to remember the Jets' passing defense isn't what it was at the beginning of the year. So, like, the matchup's coming off that it's a red matchup. It's not. The last, 5 weeks, the Jets have just been really, you can pass on them at this point. The Jets aren't the same defense.
I would start Tua over Wilson and Winston, though.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would start Tua over a good amount of the quarterbacks. I think he's streamable this week.
Yeah. I agree. I would hold him in the same range as Sam Darnold and Baker, but I would rather. I'm going to play the matchups with Tampa and Minnesota.
Yeah, completely understandable.
Because Miami could just run away with this in terms of on the run running game. Sure. This could be a huge Achane game, and they might not need Tua this week. But I think Miami wins this one. No gut feeling for the Jets this week. All right, moving on. New Orleans and the Saints, they travel to the Meadowlands to take on the New York Giants. The Saints are 4.5-point road favorites. It looks like Drew Lock is getting another start here. Tommy DeVito still dealing with this elbow forearm injury.
Yeah, I actually like that a lot more. We talked about it on Tuesday. You preferred Neighbors with DeVito, but I prefer him a lot more with Drew Lock.
Well, Neighbors didn't practice today, so
yeah, I get it, but I still think he's gonna play. But I mean, to be honest, he might not. Our whole team's like imploded. Theo Johnson's hit the IR. Dexter Lawrence hit the IR. So the Giants are just up completely in. We're just in it for next year. We're done. We've completely checked out. We're done.
Yeah, the Saints, Alvin Kamara, put him in.
Oh my God!
Close your eyes.
He's line great for a huge lineup,
and no Taysom Hill. So
that's sad. Still,
yeah. I'm fine with Marquez Valdez-Scantling this week.
Yeah,
I'm okay, which means this is the week he duds you out because I'm finally on board.
Oh, man, yeah, him and Kamara are really the only options I'm looking at here. There's really only 4 people in this whole game that I'm willing to start. Being Alvin Kamara, MVS, Tyrone Tracy, and Malik Neighbors are the only 4 guys I'm looking at.
And I mean, Tracy, you still have to worry about Devin Singletary's involvement, but
I think
that was more of a
1
week thing.
He played 73% of snaps. I don't think. I think he's going to play 73 again.
He did vulture the touchdown though.
He did. But Tracy also had a touchdown last week.
Yeah. I think it was a 1 week punishment thing for Tyrone Tracy.
I agree.
Seeing the uptick for Devin Singletary. So, but that looms in the back of your head if you're putting Tyrone Tracy in your lineup.
Yeah, like Singletary only played 21% of snaps last week. I'm really in on Tracy.
This is an easy game. If Neighbors is out there, you play him.
Yep.
Tyrone Tracy, he's a good play this week, and then Kamara and MVS, and that's it. Like I'm not going to stream Juwan Johnson even with 6 tight ends on a bye week. I need to see it before I'm giving commitment to that guy because I know this is his time. He loves the fantasy football playoffs. That's when he puts up his best fantasy numbers. And he's got the best chance to do it because Taysom Hill's out. But I'm not going there yet, if ever.
That's tough, but no, I'm actually, I'm cool with MVS. 4 touchdowns in 3 games, so it wouldn't surprise me if he gets in the end zone again.
Derek Carr is going to take 2 shots a game to this guy down the field, and you just got to hope one of them hits. And so far, they have been.
Yeah, he's looking at like 3 targets, 4 targets, 3 targets, and he's literally brought in 2 catches, 3. But yeah, he's scoring touchdowns, dude. So he's the only receiver there.
And I think New Orleans wins this game.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. As a Giants fan, I don't even think it's going to be close. Kamara is going to have a field day with us, dude.
I hope so. I got that guy in my home league.
You do.
All right. Jacksonville and the Jaguars travel to Tennessee to take on the Titans.
A bunch of bad games.
Tennessee, 3-point home favorites over under a 40. Trevor Lawrence on the IR, so you can probably count out all your Jaguars offensive players.
Brian Thomas Jr. is the only one I'm not comfortable starting him, but you can put him in if need be. He looked decent with Mac Jones last week.
If Mac Jones can hit him for a big play, keep an eye on Parker Washington as well. There could be that backup quarterback to depth chart receiver connection because they practiced together, and he was heavily involved last week with Mac Jones. So I wouldn't be putting him in my lineup, but L'Jarius Sneed's not out there for Tennessee, so Brian Thomas Jr. is an okay play. He can take a big shot down to him, and if he hits it, you're looking at a big bomb touchdown. But that's it for Jacksonville. Like I'm not with Tank Bigsby back.
Nope.
I'm not comfortable putting in either him or ETN, and it's tough to run on the Titans. So yeah, and ETN, what a disappointment that guy's been.
He's had a horrendous fantasy season. So whenever we do biggest bust episodes, you can guarantee Travis Etienne is going to be on that episode.
Yeah, he was drafted back into the 2nd round, and he is performing like the back end of the draft kind of running back.
Yeah, he's currently sitting at RB 38 in full point PPR. So like it's been a horrendous season for him.
And Tennessee, you said you'd ride with Will Levis this week, and yeah, I'll hitchhike as well. I'm in. I'll catch a ride on the Will Levis
actually
train.
In on 4 people I'm in on pretty much their whole offense.
Oh, yeah. Calvin Ridley, I think is a great play. Revenge game for him as well. If you're into that kind of thing, I think
Westbrook,
Tony Pollard has a good back.
I'm in for him.
Yeah,
it is what it is. At this point, you can play him. And I
Ash,
honestly
my
think Tony
fiance
Pollard.
is
What about Ash?
my fiance is actually playing in one of our 12-team leagues. Is starting MVS and Nick Westbrook-Akine because her other two receivers are Nico Collins and Cortland Sutton. They're both on bye this week.
They see me rolling.
Yeah,
they
yeah, and I'm just like
she
she's
riding
just
dirty, dog.
rolling with those hyphen name wide receivers. Hey, both are big touchdown guys. So
I love it.
That's where you're gonna get your points.
She could be in line for 4 touchdowns between the two of them. But you also brought up Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard's in line for a huge bounce back week. He didn't look good last week.
He was almost my start of the week.
I like Tennessee a lot this week. Jacksonville's bad. I get Tennessee's not great, but Tennessee's got a decent defense. Mac Jones is very gettable too. You can easily frustrate him.
Tennessee's defense is probably just out there. If you need a defense to stream this week, ain't nobody rostering the Titans defense because they're not scoring fantasy wise.
Yeah, they're a good real life defense. Yeah, but I'm actually in on the Titans, so that's kind of weird to say.
I think Tennessee wins. I think they cover. I think 3 points.
I agree.
With a Mac Jones started team,
yep.
I think Tennessee's going to walk away with this one.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I like Tennessee a lot this week.
Yeah. All right, before we dive into the 4 o'clock games, let's hear from our friends over at Dubby. We all need a little pick-me-up sometime. Long days at work, or maybe you had an night out on the town, or you up streaming some movies, some good stuff out on streaming services, watching them. So I just been shrinking over on Apple TV. Check that out. Great show, Jason Segel. You need a good pick-me-up. W Energy's for you. They pride themselves on full transparency, ingredient disclosure. They have no sugar, no calories, no artificial dyes, no fillers. They got a mobile app, which is cool. You can search that on your Play Store, your App Store. Just search Dubby, D-U-B-B-Y. It'll pop up. Or head over to their website, dubby.gg, and order stuff. And hey, if you're not the caffeine type, they got hydration drinks too. You need a little spark for your water. They got hydration flavors for that as well. They also have merch and a duffel bag. So they got some cool stuff over there on Dubby. And then if you do check them out, be sure to use the code DRAFTEDUP for a nice 10% discount on your order. Be better and get that dub with Dubby Energy. DRAFTEDUP is the checkout code for a 10% discount.
Hell yeah. Get that dub.
Yeah. 4 o'clock games. Seattle, the Seahawks division leaders, travel to Arizona to take on the Cardinals, who are in second place.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals are 3-point home favorites and over under of 44.5.
What you thinking?
I'm going to pick the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals win. I think they win. I think they cover.
I disagree. I think Seattle's got this one. I like Seattle this week. I'm not huge on Ken Waller. He hasn't been great the last couple weeks, and he's been questionable. He didn't practice at all, so I'm kind of worried about Ken Waller not practicing. But I think Charbonnet could easily just step into that role if need be. He scored last week, so it would be pretty heartbreaking if Ken Waller doesn't able to go. But it's a division game, so I kind of see him buckling down. But I love the pass catchers here for Seattle.
So Ken Walker, he's been on a kind of a dud here.
Yeah, and he's not practicing.
No, he hasn't looked great. Do you play him or Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones.
I would go Walker.
Yeah, oh man. I think Aaron Jones is a little bit safer. Well, yeah, Walker's not practicing. I'll take the safe floor in Aaron Jones.
Okay. Yeah, I like the matchup better for Walker than I do Jones with Minnesota.
I get it. The not practicing is what's making me pick Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
If Ken Walker was 100% healthy, I would.
Ken Walker practiced at all this year? I feel he's questionable every week.
He is questionable, but he at least is limited in practice here and there.
Yeah. DK Metcalf also questionable. If he's in, you're putting him in your lineup.
Yeah, you have
Jackson Smith-Njigba's been incredible.
Oh, dude, dog.
I don't care that he had an off week for fantasy last week. You're still putting him in. He's been a top 10 wide receiver this year in full PPR. And okay, if Ken Walker's out, you gonna play Charbonnet?
Ooh, that's dirty, dirty.
Charbonnet or Braylon Allen, say Breece Hall and Ken Walker both miss. Who would you rather play?
Charbonnet.
Charbonnet.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I would agree. I think
Charbonnet
Braylon
in
Allen's
his
the better
fill-in starts for Ken Walker finishes RB8 and RB7.
Yeah.
He was really, really good in those 2 starts.
I think Braylon Allen's a better real life running back, which is why I was hesitant.
I agree.
Fantasy wise, I do think Charbonnet is better. He's involved in the pass game, and I don't think Braylon Allen would be used that way.
No,
if Breece Hall's out, I think they would use Isaiah Davis for passing situations.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I'd be cool going Charbonnet if Ken Walker misses this game.
Tyler Lockett?
Nope.
Yep, agree. Arizona. I like Kyler Murray this week. I almost made him my start of the week. I like James Conner this week. I think they're going to get him back going. His usage has been really weird here the last few weeks for Arizona, especially the game with Seattle. The first game where he only had like 7 carries. Like, really weird. He's the focal point of this offense. He gets this offense going. I think it's going to be a big game from Conner. And then obviously you're going to play Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison.
Dude, Trey McBride has been so good, dude. Like,
we talked about Brock Bowers' catches. Trey McBride was 12 targets last week, and he caught all 12 of them.
Yeah, he was 12 for 12 this week. Last week, he was 15 for 12. And then 133 yards 2 weeks ago, 96 this week. Trey McBride is right there with Brock Bowers. Yeah, unfortunately, he has no receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
Real quick, though, like, Trey Benson's really weird, dude. Like, the 2 games before the bye week, he finishes RB24, RB22. So in RB2, he finished, played in almost 30% of snaps both those games, had the bye week, he's played in 15% of snaps since the bye week.
Yeah.
What? It's supposed to go up after the bye week. Like, what are we talking about here, Arizona?
Yeah. I don't know. Their running back usage with him and Conner has been really weird here the last few weeks. Yeah, so I don't know what they're doing here, but I think it's a bounce back game for James Conner and the Arizona Cardinals.
I'm cool
I think they win this game, and I think they cover.
I'm still taking Seattle, but I'm cool with Murray. I'm cool with Conner, Marv, and Trey McBee for sure.
We didn't touch Geno Smith. What about him?
God.
Him or the other guys we've been talking about, Darnold, Baker, Tua.
All of them.
Levis.
The last 3 weeks, he's been QB 19, QB 20, QB 27. I would take pretty much all the other quarterbacks.
He's sort of coming back down to earth in terms of like Geno Smith and fan. Like he's not scoring a ton of touchdowns. He's a great real life quarterback. He's great for Seattle.
Yeah, for sure.
They're just not scoring a ton, and that's where Geno's fantasy upside was the fact that Seattle scored a bunch of touchdowns. That's not really happening right now. So yeah, I think Geno's a tough stream. Like him or Matt Stafford. Stafford's going to be the game we're going to talk about next. It's at home for Stafford.
Geno. Buffalo's a really good defense, dude.
Yeah, I agree. What about Caleb Williams?
I'd probably go Caleb.
I agree. All right, you're taking Seattle. I'm going Arizona.
Cool, yo.
So we'll see. There's no pattern now with me and the Cardinals. I broke it last week.
Yeah, it's broke.
The Buffalo Bills travel to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. The Bills are 3.5 point road favorites and over under 49.5. This feels, I brought up Minnesota, Atlanta being a trap game for the Vikings. This could be a trap game for Buffalo. They just had the big snow game with all the shenanigans and Josh Allen getting 4 touchdowns, and they whooped up on San Francisco. Now they got to travel across the country to L.A. So those aren't easy.
No.
And maybe they're looking ahead. They got Detroit coming up. That's a huge game. The Rams aren't just a throwaway win. Like
they're not. I'm telling you this right now.
Great.
Any given Sunday, the Rams can beat any team in football.
I agree.
That's how good the Rams are. A very talented team. They are a well coached.
And that's coached. Yep.
And they have Matt Stafford, who's one of the greatest comeback artists in all time. They have a great run game. They have 2 elite wide receivers. A lot of teams don't even have one. They have two elite, amazing wide receivers. So I think any game you play the Rams, it could be a trap game. I think the Rams are just a really talented team.
Mm-hmm. So now you were worried about Puka and Cooper Kupp when they played the Eagles. Are you worried about them against Buffalo, who's been great at stopping wide receivers this season?
Yeah, for sure. More so Cooper Kupp this time around.
Mm-hmm.
But it still wouldn't surprise me if this game ends up being a crazy shootout and both receivers finish in the top 10. But I think there's a way better chance that doesn't happen.
And you can't bench either one of those guys.
Both are in your lineup, 100%.
Yeah,
especially with
Kyren Williams. He's got a great matchup. He finally got back in the end zone last week. You can put him in with confidence now and just be like, all right, Kyren's back. He is the focal point of this offense. You can run on Buffalo.
Blake Corum did have a season high snap percentage and season high in carries and yards last week. So just keep it in mind that he's still back there.
I actually think that's better for Kyren though.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And then Buffalo, James Cook, put him in. Great matchup. Josh Allen, obviously. You going with any of the receivers, Khalil Shakir or Amari Cooper?
I'm still cool with
Shakir. I agree. Yep. And Dalton Kincaid might be back.
So
you
what?
Streaming him?
No.
Okay. I'm in the same boat, which is a shame because I love Dalton Kincaid coming out a few years ago. I think he's talented. I just think this is one of the years where we just missed. Maybe we were a year too early. And next year, Dalton Kincaid's probably going to be cheap.
Exactly.
And he might be the guy if you punt the tight end position and you just fall on Dalton Kincaid and maybe next year he does what we thought he was going to do this year.
Yeah,
that happens all the time in fantasy. We're always a year ahead.
Yeah, it is one of the years. Tight ends have bad years. Who cares? I'm still in on Kincaid this year or next year. Not this year though.
Next year, yeah. I'm writing him off this year.
Unfortunately,
it just hasn't worked for him.
No,
and if he does go off,
if he has a game here or there throughout the remainder of the season, but he's just not consistent enough to start.
Nope. Agree. So then, who wins this game?
Man, I'm usually picking the Rams on these things, but I'm picking Buffalo, dude.
I'm also taking Buffalo. I think they're a really good team, and I can't wait for that matchup against Detroit.
Oh, dude, that game's going to be amazing.
Chicago, new head coach, Thomas Brown. He takes his team to San Francisco to take on the ailing 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
The Niners are 3.5-point home favorites and over under of 44. I'm cool streaming Caleb Williams. He's been really good the last 2 weeks since the coordinator change, and now said coordinator is the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
He was top 5 quarterback both weeks.
What about Purdy?
DJ Moore didn't practice.
No.
It's tough to pass on San Fran. Purdy's got this shoulder thing going on.
Tough to pass on the Bears. Chicago.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I need to see it first, and
I agree.
I don't know if he's healthy.
Going back to the Seattle game, it kind of looks like he hasn't been healthy since that game. Like the Seattle game, he missed the Green Bay game, and the Buffalo game was a snow game, but you could still tell something was not right.
Like the stream guys we talked about, to Darnold, Baker, I'm putting all of them over Brock Purdy.
For sure.
I even think I would start Will Levis over him.
Oh, dude. Will Levis
with the Jaguars matchup. I think the ceiling, incredible ceiling. Now Brock Purdy's floored last week against the Bills. I know that's an outlier snow game. Like 5 points.
Yeah, he only had 90 yards. But anything that happened last week for the Niners, you can't look at like Jawan Jennings. I'm starting. I'm a haul in on Jawan Jennings this week.
Yeah,
even Kittle.
Jennings and Kittle and Garendo.
Yeah,
Debo is
no. Oh God,
he has
to start him pretty much.
Yeah, but I don't want to. Like, he hasn't looked as he's not breaking tackles. I don't know if it's age or if he's just trying to play through an injury or what's going on, but he has not looked himself. And I don't know what sort of future. He doesn't have a future in San Francisco. He's gone after this season.
I agree.
I don't know what sort of relevance he has
out of
going
Shanahan's
into next year in fantasy.
Yeah. I'm actually cool not playing Debo in anything that's not full point PPR. He's just not worth it in anything. Like,
yeah, I agree.
you can find a way out.
Like,
you need a high ceiling this week if you need to get in the playoffs. Start MVS.
I was gonna
start
say
Nick Westbrook-Akine.
I think I would start Quentin Johnston over him.
Oh God!
Like, Debo's been that bad.
I know he has, and I like Debo as a person, but I don't like him as a fantasy. Like, Debo as a real life
I love Debo Samuel.
Debo is a great real life NFL person, and I love it. He's great for the game. He's great for a team. He's great for a locker room. I hate this guy in fantasy football, and I always have.
Where do you think he ranks on the season in full PPR?
46?
49.
That's crazy. That's crazy, dude. And we're out here shitting on Travis Etienne, who's running back 38.
Puka Nacua ranks over him.
He missed a ton of time.
He missed 6 games.
Yeah.
Tank Dell is over him. Michael Pittman Jr.
No, the Tank Dell thing, that's out of
DeMarcus-
pocket because everyone's saying cut Tank Dell. So why are we cutting Tank Dell if we're not cutting Debo Samuel?
Because you're looking at the name. Again, this is the time of year you got to put names behind you. You got to do player A, player B.
100%.
DeMarcus Robinson over Debo Samuel. Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins. Just under Debo Samuel by less than 1 point. Demario Douglas.
Man, oh man. Seems the ship has sailed. But to be honest, every time we come on this podcast and say the ship has sailed on someone, they kind of blow
Maybe
up.
that's what we need. Like, Debo Samuel is averaging in full PPR 9.9 points per game. Quentin Johnston's averaging 9.7.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they're close. And if Lad McConkey doesn't play,
And like the Bears
Yeah, the
matchups, rough.
Chargers
Like the
might-
Bears secondary is
Yep.
dogs, dude. They're dirty. They fight hard.
Yeah.
I'm trying to really get Debo
it's
out my
tough to
lineup
do,
here.
but yep, I fully agree. And then the Bears, DJ Moore didn't practice. I expect him out there, but if he's not out there, that gives a boost up to Roma Dunze. And Keenan Allen's been great.
Yeah, he's
I
Keenan
think
Allen's
him,
also
and if DJ Moore,
back to full practice. So Keenan Allen's a
Yeah.
full-blown go. He was also hurt though,
Yeah.
but he's good.
if Moore's out there, put him in as well. Start DJ Moore and Keenan Allen.
If DJ Moore suits up, start him. Keenan Allen, start him. They've both been phenomenal in this new offense.
And then Garendo, we talked about him a bunch. Your start of the week. I think
Yes,
that's
sir.
a great play for the Niners. Who wins?
I was actually talking about this game with one of the guys at work today, and he's picking the Bears, which I like it. It's a dog pick, but I think the Niners got it.
You're not buying into the new head coach brings the
No.
boost up to the team situation here.
I'm
The
not.
Bears players are thrilled. No more Matt Eberflus.
And they have every right to be thrilled. The offense has looked completely different and like a legitimate offense.
Like, I do want to pick Chicago, but like
so do
San
I.
Francisco also feels like, hey, we got something to prove as well.
Yeah. Especially
like,
after
they're
how
not out of the
bad
division.
they looked.
They're only a game and a half, 2 games out of their division.
Yeah, they're 2
They
games
can
out.
win their division still. So I am going to go with the Niners.
If the Niners didn't look as bad as they did last week, I would be leaning more the Bears. I think it's going to be really hard for Kyle Shanahan to accept that loss in that snow game and be like, I'm a legitimate offensive guru. What happened last week is trash. It's done. It's in the past. What's going to happen this week, it's different. We're going to go forward. We're going to run Garendo down your throat. Juwan Jennings is going to be a baller. Kittle is going to be Kittle. I think San Fran's
We'll see with
gonna
Debo.
win.
Yeah.
Debo's not. Debo.
Yeah. It would not this was the toughest game for me to pick. But it would not surprise me if Chicago comes out on top. In fact, if Chicago was at home, if this game was in Chicago, I would have picked the Bears.
I think it's going to be, really close. The way the Bears played Detroit in the second half last week is completely different. So if they play like that, Chicago, I think they could win.
All right, Sunday Night Football, the Chargers travel to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. A respectable 4-point line in favor of Kansas City.
Surprise, surprise.
over under of 43.
Okay.
The Chiefs might cover for once if they win this game.
Nah. If they win, I don't think it's by 4. I really don't. John Harbaugh's got this team fucking clawing at victories, so I expect it to be really close regardless of what happens here.
I agree. Justin Herbert's always played the Chiefs really well.
Yeah, exactly.
He's your start of the week. I think that's a great shout out for him. And I'm comfortable with that. Like, I would start him over Baker. I would start him over my start of the week and Sam Darnold.
Yeah, probably.
To all the stream guys, Will Levis, Caleb Williams, and Ladd McConkey, if he's active and healthy, ready to go, put him in. He's been incredible.
Yeah,
if he's not,
he's gone double digits.
I like Disley.
Who do you like? Will Disley?
Disley. I think Disley fills the McConkey role if McConkey's not there. I think then he becomes a guy you can play at tight end.
I'm still
cool. I think you could probably flex him.
I'm still cool with Will Disley starting this week in your tight end spot, even if McConkey goes. I would still give him another go.
No, I agree, but I'd be way more comfortable with him.
Oh yeah,
with McConkey out.
100%. Ladd's he eats up those targets. So when he's not out there, you have to spread out 9, 10, 12 targets sometimes. So a lot that goes around when Ladd's not out there.
Yeah. Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston.
Josh Palmer is a notorious Chiefs killer, but no,
he is.
I am not cool with that.
If you look back at games, like there's a ton of times he's like wide open down the field, and Justin Herbert either he just misses him or he dumps it off to McConkey.
He doesn't have enough time to get the ball down deep.
Yeah. So that takes away Palmer's strength, but if you're the McConkey owner and you want to go with him, because like McConkey's been so good, like you can't just pull him out of your lineup and
you
just
gotta play
plug in a guy for Sunday. I would pick up Josh Palmer. And if McConkey doesn't go, I would just put Josh Palmer in my lineup or Quentin Johnston, whichever one you're more comfortable with, and hope one of them gets a big shot down the field.
Yeah, I think Quentin Johnston and Palmer are both really flexible if Ladd doesn't end up going, for sure.
Chiefs side of the ball?
What about the Chiefs receivers?
No.
Let's just hop right there.
I'm good with DeAndre Hopkins. If I need an upside guy, I'll put Worthy in, but I don't want to.
I agree, but he's been like more consistent the last 3 weeks. He's been 4 catches, 5 catches. Like those are all season highs. 61 yards, 46, 54, 1 touchdown over those 3 weeks. I'm cool with Worthy even if you got to flex him.
Would you rather him or Hopkins?
Probably
it's funny,
Hopkins.
They're back to back. Full PPR, Hopkins is 43, Worthy's 44. They're averaging the same amount of points per game, 9.6.
Yeah, I'd probably go Hopkins. He had 9 targets last week. He only brought in 4. He went 4 for 90. But if you would have thrown 2 more catches on there, you could have been looking at like 6 for 130. So I'm cool with Hopkins over Worthy.
Travis Kelce, you're putting him in.
Yep.
You're not worried about him. Noah Gray?
6 teams run a bye, dude. We've been saying it. That's been the theme of the podcast. And Noah Gray's just been 18.5, 22.5, almost 10 on 5 targets, 4 targets, 6 targets, 4 touchdowns over the last 3 weeks. If you got to start a tight end, Noah Gray's on your market. He's very startable.
The same team that Ash has that she's starting MVS and Westbrook Akine.
Also Noah Gray.
Her starting tight end is Noah Gray this week.
Oh my God, Ash. What a team. Whew, that's crazy.
Just a bunch of nasty plays, and hey, those nasty
sometimes
players
that legitimately pays off
win
better.
Championships.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm cool with Noah Gray if like you don't have options, like if you missed out on some of those other guys, or if they're rostered and you can't get them. Noah Gray's a fine, just plug and play and just hope he's getting this involvement still.
It seemed like he was fully touchdown dependent, but last week he had a season high on targets, brought in 4 of them for 58. So 4 for 58, you can start that without a touchdown. You're cool with that.
I would start Noah Gray over Kyle Pitts.
Not even a question, dude. Not even a question.
Yeah. Well, what about Dalton Schultz? Dalton Schultz has a bye week, so
on
don't
a
play
bye
Dalton
week,
Schultz.
so he's getting as many points as Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. Well, Kyle Pitts could lose points.
Oh my god. No, I actually expect Kyle Pitts to have like a 4 for 50 this week. I think he's gonna be fine, to be honest. But I wouldn't start him.
I'm just looking at his points on the season. He's got a 5-er. He's got 2 zeros.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a 2.1 and a 1.9.
Yeah, he's a bunch of horrendous performances.
He's back, baby. This is the Kyle Pitts we love and hate.
Shut up. It makes me so mad. Freaking, and I will never once blame him. It is not his fault. He is so talented.
You'll still have him in your top 10 next year when we do fantasy tight end.
Hey
rankings.
man, maybe he somehow gets out of Atlanta. They dip him in the offseason, and I'm way back in, baby.
Oh my god. Yeah, more power to you, brother. What about Pacheco?
No,
back on topic.
Yeah,
No?
you can play him, but it's not going to be fun.
Yeah.
The Chargers are just a brutal defense. It's never fun to go against them.
What about Patrick Mahomes?
Oh, man, I'd probably play like Herbert over him, Darnold over him, Baker over him.
What about Tua?
Oh, yeah, probably give me Tua over Patty,
Okay.
dude. Yeah.
Caleb Williams?
No, I'd go Mahomes, I think.
Okay. Will Levis?
Mahomes, but it's way closer in any world than it should be.
And then obviously I think you would take Mahomes over Brock Purdy then too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay. Who wins?
Kansas City.
Oh, he wants to pick. You wanted to pick the Chargers.
I did.
could see.
I did.
I think the Chiefs win. I think they cover as well.
It's gonna be close, dude.
And then Monday night, we got the
man.
Simpsons game. Couldn't flex this one out. The Cincinnati
How
Bengals
unfortunate.
travel to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Bengals are 5.5-point road favorites, over under a 49.5. In theory,
Mhm.
if CeeDee Lamb doesn't play, this should be a game the Bengals blow the Cowboys out of the water.
So they won't.
They won't because the Bengals don't.
Yeah.
And if CeeDee Lamb doesn't play, it's also a game they should just win. And who knows if they will. But you're going to play
yeah.
Jamar Chase, you're going to play T. Higgins, you're going to play Joe Burrow, you're going to play Chase Brown. The
But
Bengals are easy.
Yep, but-
locked and loaded.
Without
Those
even thinking
four
about
dudes
it. Now, what about Gesicki?
No.
He had 10.5
I'd
last
rather-
week, dude. Went 5 for 53.
Yeah, but that game was also 44-38.
You don't think this game has that chance?
No,
You don't think so?
I don't.
Oh man.
No.
Cooper Rush has
I
been
would
playing
start
decent the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I would start Ferguson over Gesicki. I would start
Yeah.
Noah Gray over him. I would start Will Disley.
Yeah, probably all of
I-
those.
I would
I'm
put-
not disagreeing.
I think I would start Dalton Kincaid over him.
No, that's kind of out of pocket, but maybe. But I'd probably lean Gesicki over Kincaid this
I mean,
week.
Kincaid might not even play. He's still limited in practice.
Even if he plays, I'd go Gesicki over him.
Yeah. I would start Gesicki over Kyle Pitts.
I
so.
don't know, man. Something about this game just really screams to me like Rico could have a huge game. CD.
Is it because the Bengals are the most insane team of all time?
I think that's what it is. Like, I still low-key, I love Brandon Cooks. I think he could go out and have 10, 15 points.
Brandon Cooks is another guy. Like, if you have CeeDee Lamb and he doesn't play, you should be stashing Brandon Cooks
Mhm.
or Jalen Tolbert or like Lad McConkey if you don't want to play one of the Chargers guys. If you don't want to
I
ride
think you
with
can play
Josh
Brandon
Palmer or
Cooks.
Quentin Johnston, pick up Brandon Cooks.
I
He
think
got
you
7
can play
targets in
Brandon
his
Cooks
first game back.
regardless in this game.
Yeah.
I think
You could play Cookie, as Tom Brady calls him.
don't
play Cookie.
do that. Stop that. He needs to stop calling people by his name. I hate that shit. It's so weird. But I actually like Brandon Cooks as a flex option this week a lot versus Cincinnati.
Yeah. No, I'm cool with that. And he's also one of those guys, especially playing on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
where if you have the Sunday night guy and you want to try to risk it with Lad and he doesn't play, to get Brandon Cooks ready
Yep.
on your roster to plug in, because I think that's a good sub in.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love Rico Dowdle this week. Like I said, every time he gets opportunities, 18 or more, he's been a top 20 running back all 4 times, and he's been a top 10 3 of the 4.
What's the point over under on this game?
49.5.
Okay, so they kind of see it as it could be 25,
Same
25.
as Buffalo and the Rams. It's tied
Okay.
for third high.
So-
Tied for third highest on the week. The highest is tonight with 51.
Okay, so Vegas kind of sees this going. It could possibly go the way
Yeah.
I see this. Okay, just making sure I'm not fucking insane over here.
No. I think they'll get close to the over under. I just don't see it being like, I think for Gesicki to be a fantasy relevant person, I think it needs to be like over 60 points
Oh,
with
yeah.
everyone healthy in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
That's
see
where
what
I
you're
was
saying.
getting at. Because he's the fourth option.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's never gonna be really the option regardless, but I think you could still play him if need be. If you're hurting for tight ends and you just have him.
And then who wins? Who wins Monday?
Cincinnati.
I agree.
I honestly
I think
don't
the Bengals
remember the
win. I
last
think
time
they
I picked
cover.
Cincinnati, but yeah, I'm cool with Cincinnati this week.
Yeah, I think the Bengals win. I think they cover. I think their offensive guys are going to blow up this week.
Oh yeah,
But
I agree.
then
I
if the-
expect a lot of
if the
fantasy
Beng-
points from this game.
If the Bengals do somehow lose this game,
It's fucking
how
like
worried
4
do
or
we have
5
to
in a
be
row.
about? How worried do we have to be about their guys just kind of calling it for the year? Like, didn't you worry about playing Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins? T. Higgins, contract year. Jamar Chase playing for a contract. Like, do you worry about those guys just kind of be like, this hamstring kind of tightened up. I don't know if I can go this week.
There was severe, like people were really thinking that Jamar Chase was going to hold out at the beginning of the year. I think there's a chance he holds out at the back end of the year. It's not worth playing. I'm hurt. Why am I even out here? I'll just sit out the rest of the year. I'll be back next year. You don't need me.
Yeah,
That's a
there's
legitimate
definite fear
possibility
with that. If they lose, same with T. Higgins. He's always got injuries flaring up.
100%, yeah. Why would I be on the field for your last 2-3 games if they don't matter? I'm gonna get paid regardless. So
Yeah, and then maybe they sit Joe, take him easy, play for the draft pick.
Burrow's been
one of
hurt
the
a
elite
couple of
offensive
times.
tackles.
So why
Like
have him out
That
there?
is a legitimate worry, which is not great for fantasy owners
I
because
agree.
this is I think the only one you can count on being out there is Chase Brown at that point.
I agree. I think Chase Brown will be out there regardless. So
Yeah, so we'll see what the future holds there for Cincinnati, but I think they win this game, get back on track. They're still in the playoff hunt. It'll be a tough stretch
Stop,
for them to
they're
get
not
there, but
gonna get there.
They do play Denver. If they win, they're only a game behind Denver. Denver is 7 wins. If Cincinnati wins this game, it'll be 2. I think they have
2
5.
games.
They would put them at 5.
Yeah, they'll put him at 5.
Yeah.
So they're
So
3 games right now behind.
it's plausible because the only other team behind Denver is Indianapolis.
Yeah. That's just a
So
lot
it's
of
a
ground
long
to cover,
stretch,
and
but
it's 3
Yeah,
games and
yeah.
5. They got to come out, bounce back.
yeah, because they would need to for sure beat Denver,
Mhm.
and they would need Denver to lose a game or 2 in that stretch. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities. It's just a 1% chance that this could happen.
tiny.
It's very minuscule.
Yeah.
All right. Power rankings. Mine are the exact same as last week. Detroit, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Minnesota.
Oh, you keep talking real quick. Hold on. Keep talking.
So, like, I think Detroit, until they lose a game, they're locked and loaded top seed. I don't care about the struggle there
Mhm.
on Thursday against the Bears in the second half. Buffalo, I think Josh Allen's front runner for MVP. Philadelphia is hot right now. You can make a case that they're the best team in the league. I wouldn't argue with it. And Kansas City's Kansas City. They're playing a bunch of close games, but they're winning despite not looking their best. And Minnesota, I think the gap between 4 to 5 is pretty big. Like, I think Minnesota's just okay, but I don't think Minnesota could beat any of the 4 teams above them.
Oh man. This might get a little bit crazy. Detroit 1, Philly 2, Buffalo 3, Pittsburgh 4,
Whoa.
Kansas City 5. I honest to God think if Kansas City and Pittsburgh play, Pittsburgh beats them. I truly believe that. Pittsburgh's defense, I think, can
Wow.
hang, shut down their offense,
Okay.
and Pittsburgh's offense has been playing amazing. It can hang with Kansas City.
But you don't worry that Pittsburgh has a game like they did against Baltimore, and they just kind of sputtered. I mean, they won, but
I mean, you
the
aren't
offense
worried
looked
that
horrendous.
the Chiefs are going to have a game like they did versus the Raiders or the Panthers or get blown out by the Bills or barely beat the Broncos? What are we talking about here?
No, I get that, but if Pittsburgh's offense sputters, I think the Chiefs' offense is better than theirs. I think the Chiefs handle a sputtering offensive game better than Pittsburgh would.
Yeah, I agree, but I think there's a better chance that Kansas City stutters versus Pittsburgh than Pittsburgh stutters versus Kansas City.
Maybe.
I wanted to put Minnesota over Kansas City as well. So,
my brother, I do not think the Vikings could beat the Chiefs. I don't.
I think if you guys played 10 times, you guys would beat them 5 times. I think it's 50-50.
I think we'd beat them twice.
Disagree.
I just think Andy Reid would outcoach Kevin O'Connell. I don't think there's a lot of coaches that can outcoach Kevin O'Connell, but our secondary, I just don't think would be able to contain Patrick Mahomes. I don't.
I think it'd be really close. I think you guys have probably the best defensive coordinator in football.
I agree, but I think they would really rattle Sam Darnold as well.
I think there'd be games that they just don't. I think it's a lot closer than you think you're giving your team credit.
Yeah. Hey, dude, I just don't.
Kansas City is not playing good football. Credit. Kansas City is playing horrendous football right now.
No, I get it. They were also playing bad football last year, and they won the Super Bowl.
I get that, and I've never doubted Kansas City. I still think they're a really good playoff team, but right now, they're not doing it.
I think the top 4 teams in my eyes, Detroit, Buffalo, Philly, and Kansas City, I think that they're all in their own tier. And then the second tier, there's a decent gap where I would put Minnesota, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, probably Baltimore.
Yeah, I'd put Baltimore there, but it would still be pretty rough.
Yeah, but I think those are the far away like top 8 teams. I don't think Houston's in the equation anymore.
No, I would put Denver and Washington above Houston.
Yeah, and I don't even think Washington's really in the equation. I think Washington would get stomped by any of the elite teams.
I agree, but Washington...
Well, except Kansas City, because Kansas City just plays the closest games known to man.
I agree, but I think Washington has a chance to... It's the any given Sunday thing. They're a really good coach team, really talented. I think they could hang in the playoffs if need be.
Yeah, and playoff bracket-wise, like they're looking at probably playing... Because Minnesota, as of now, would have the top wild card spot. So Minnesota would play either the West Division winner or the South. So Atlanta, Tampa, or whoever comes out of the West, Seattle, Arizona, San Francisco. I like Minnesota in that matchup.
I agree.
And then Green Bay would get the other one. I like Green Bay. The problem is Washington would end up with Philadelphia or Detroit.
Oh, yeah. It'd be rough.
Yeah. But there we go. That's Power Rankings Locked and Loaded podcast over. We'll see you guys on Tuesday, where we'll do the usual. We'll do a run through of the Week 14 games here.
The next time we record,
looking into
playoff matchups are set for fantasy football.
Yep.
So everyone needs to keep that in mind. That
we'll be talking playoff stuff. Who's
there's gonna be 6.
You're gonna get all
fighting for their life
for our home league.
Trying to get this belt right here, baby.
And you're gonna get those queasy stomach feelings of like, man, should I really play this guy who name value doesn't equal this guy? And you're gonna be beating yourself up over it.
Oh yeah.
And it's the way of life. It's the worst feeling in the world, but it's also the best feeling in the world to have the shot to make a championship.
If it pays off, it is the greatest feeling in the world that you are smart enough to make that call. At this point, you put draft capital. It's not even a thing. If someone's playing better right now than somebody else, pull the trigger. You need to do everything you can to get into the playoffs.
My first 2 championships in our home league, I rolled with Nick Foles over Drew Brees, and I rolled with Kirk Cousins over Aaron Rodgers because they were just playing better football. It didn't feel great at the time, but it felt great winning that way.
Yeah. No one wants to play Jameis Winston over Patrick Mahomes, but guess what I'm doing this week?
There we go. Fantasy football. It's fun, but Tuesday we'll recap these games. We'll do our spotlight series. We'll bring 2 new prospects to the table, chat those guys up as well. And we're in the thick of it. We're at the end of the fantasy
We're here,
season,
baby.
which slides right into the NFL draft season. So we'll be doing a little more NFL draft stuff coming up here
Yes, sir.
once the NFL season is over. All right, you know where to find us. Twitter, at @DraftedUp_pod, Apple, YouTube, Spotify. Search Drafted Up Podcast. Like, rate, subscribe, review, share, tell a friend. We appreciate all the support. Support the pod. You can check out code DraftedUp for a nice little 10% discount over at W Energy.
Hell yeah.
Get some products and support the podcast. We appreciate you guys. Thank you. Peace and love. Adios.
Hell yeah. Everyone, good luck this week. Get that dub. Bye.